Very good. I don't know if Miss Linda, your Claris tablet, does it still pop up the kind of like the reminder, like 5 minutes before class or 10 minutes
Yeah,
before class starts? Okay,
yeah.
good. I know I call myself setting it up that way, and technology is always fun times. So it looks like maybe Miss Doris is trying to connect now. It says connecting to audio. Now it says connected. So do I have Doris?
Yes. I just
Very good. Well, welcome. I'm glad you could join us today.
okay. Glad I can too.
All right. I know it's been a few weeks since you have joined us, but we'll just jump right in and get started. We always start our classes by warming up. Maybe I'll warm up enough to take my sweatshirt off because I have my pretty little Tai Chi shirt on, and I like to wear that in my videos, but it got cold while I was on lunch downstairs. I think they have the air set on 23.
Oh,
That's not real. It just felt like it. I just got cold. So anywho, that's neither here or there. I just like my Tai Chi shirt and I wear it once a week and I try to switch it around to my different classes. I teach Tai Chi on Mondays in Claxton, on Tuesdays on the virtual, the computer, and then and Wednesdays at Baxley at the Anytime Fitness. So I like to wear it at least once a week to one of those classes. They're very comfortable shirts. Remember, if I don't end up taking my sweatshirt off, remember that if you come to 10 classes, then you can earn one of these shirts that says Tai Chi for Falls Prevention, Seeking Balance Every Day. And then on the back, it says our principles being upright posture, slow, smooth, continuous, weight transfer, gentle resistance, no tension, and then namaste. That's how we end our classes each week. Thankfully, last week y'all caught me and said, hey, we forgot something. But these are the shirts. They come in blue, like a corally pink color, and a gray. So, and the gray one has black writing. The pink and the blue have white. So if you come to 10 of the 16 classes, then I'll send you a t-shirt. And they're nice, comfortable, beach combed cotton. Oh, so hopefully we get warmed up by opening and closing our hands. Warming up is so important because it decreases our chance of injury. I want to say a little something about footwear, or what kind of shoes that you wear while you do Tai Chi. Anything that has a whole shoe can work. We want to stay away from flip-flops or backless shoes like a clog, because that doesn't hold your foot stable. You can easily like move out of it. I mean, you could wear a sandal as long as it had an ankle strap and your foot was secure in the actual shoe. There are some people that like a nice thick tennis shoe, and that's fine if you feel stable in it. When I wear a thick tennis shoe, I don't feel connected to the ground. I feel more connected to foam. And so I like a really flat shoe. What I wear is like a ballet flat. It has a back. So I feel very connected to the floor. Some people's foot needs more support, particularly in the arch of your foot. So what works for you may be different than me. Just know that you want the shoe to be secured on your foot. One type of shoe that people wear is, you know, those water shoes that, you know, you wear to the beach or in a pool. They have a rubber bottom and they fit on kind of like a slipper, like a sock. Some people wear those for Tai Chi because there's that nice thin sole where you feel a connection to the ground. Oh, bless you.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
That I
so
didn't know.
besides,
That I did not
besides,
know about the shoes. Okay.
yeah, you know, you just imagine if your foot is not secure in your shoe, then you're more likely to fall. And so we want you to feel secure. We want you to feel connected to the ground. My shoe is very, very flat. I'm probably going to take my shoes off today after I say this, but see how flat my shoe is. So I can scrunch down the actual shoe part and you can see how flat the bottom is.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of support, but my foot is very connected to the ground.
What about no shoes?
Thank you for asking that. I was getting ready to say, some people think, oh, I'll do it without shoes. Well, you can do it without shoes. It's not preferred because imagine, okay, so I'm in my office. This is our conference room. Imagine that somebody's been up here before and they've had a thumbtack board, or maybe they've had staples they've been working on, and I didn't know it, but they left a staple or a push pin behind on the floor. They didn't mean to, but they accidentally did. And then what if I take my shoes off to do Tai Chi and I step on it? So at least with the shoe, there's a protective barrier for me if I were to step on that. So if you know, if you're in your home, because some people have rules, we've learned this in talking about virtual classes, that people have different rules in their homes. Some people do not wear shoes in their home, and that's just a rule. It can be culturally or it could be for different reasons. So we want to respect that. And so if you don't wear shoes in your home, make sure that the floor as to which you will be doing Tai Chi in is clean and clear of anything that could be sharp and hurt you. Or to have shoes that are designated for inside only, if it's a matter of dragging in dirt from the outside. But it's a safety thing, for instance, and especially if you're a diabetic, because if you have sores or if you get a cut on your extremities, your hands, arms, legs, feet, but specifically your feet, because they're the farthest away from your heart, to get that circulation, then your sores may not heal as quickly. Or if you're a diabetic, you're more likely to have neuropathy. And so you lose the feeling in your feet. You can step on a staple or step on a tack or a push pin, and you don't even feel it. And I've seen that happen before. Not with one of my seniors, but it was an older lady who babysat my daughter. She was a diabetic who refused to wear shoes, and she ended up with one of those flat silver push pins in her foot. And so you can get an infection very easily. You can end up having to have an amputation because the infection doesn't get into control. So whenever, especially like I said, if you're a diabetic, you really need to watch your feet, take care of your feet, inspect your feet. Even if you have to have an extender on a mirror to be able to see the bottom, because not everybody can pull their foot up to their face to check it out and make sure there are any sores or any problems going on. But, you know, just the simple shoe, if we can use a shoe to keep you from having an injury, why not, right? So that's kind of the rule about shoes and types of shoes for Tai Chi. But it's up to you on what makes you feel comfortable. But, you know, we just want to say that as a disclaimer and a reminder about taking care of our feet. So imagine that, you know, I'm wearing really thick, you know, foam, big, thick tennis shoes. I had an instructor once that wore New Balance tennis shoes, and they were, goodness, they had this much of foam on the bottom. When I wear a shoe like that, I feel disconnected from the floor. But when I wear flat shoes like this, I feel connected to the floor. I feel kind of in charge of my body. I'm grounded into my surface, and I feel more balanced. So that's how I feel, and that's why I choose to wear very, very flat shoes. But I know not everybody can. So you figure out what works best for you. Before I started wearing these ballet flats, y'all know what a Keds tennis shoe is? It's a little canvas shoe that laces up. Well, Keds is a brand, but Walmart has the same type of shoe, and it doesn't have very much sole on it. It's a small canvas ties up shoe. That's another type of shoe that's inexpensive, and you know, you can designate that as your Tai Chi shoes. Before I started wearing ballet flats, I used to wear some Ked type shoes that had come from Walmart. The lace helps control how fitted they are, so they're not flopping around on your feet. You know, all our feet are so different. So just think about that and how you will best feel secure. Our goal is for you to have body awareness so that you're out and about in the world and you're not falling. You know, that's one of the main purposes of our class, is for body awareness and not falling. This time of year, I get tickled at all the stuff that comes out that says fall, like welcome fall, because it's autumn. And so I think it was last year I bought at Walmart, it was this embroidery hoop, and it had leaves and acorns, and it said fall. And so I took a needle and thread and went back and sewed "don't" on it. So it says "don't fall." So that's hanging in my office. It says "don't fall." So every time I see all this fall stuff coming out, I always want to add don't fall. That's where my mind is just helping people get stronger so that they don't, so that you know, they don't have a fear of falling, they have better balance. And we get that through practicing our Tai Chi, and specifically with the way we hold our body and transfer our weight and be able to hold our weight on one leg. So let's go through our warm-ups, and then we'll get to our Tai Chi movements, basic 6 and starting our advanced 6. Starting with our neck, bring our hands up towards our chin and chest, push away from our bodies and follow those hands all the way down. Well, this is a nice stretch and warm-up movement for our neck. We even use our Tai Chi principles as we do our warm-ups, specifically thinking about slow, smooth, continuous, upright posture. Now let's go from side to side as we look towards that shoulder, come back to center, switch. So we're going side to side. You don't have to go as far as you can go. Excuse me. But just so you feel a slight stretch, then come back to center. And just know that the more you do this movement, the more your flexibility of your neck will increase, which increases your mobility, decreases your stiffness, reduces tension. So if you're one that gets tension headaches, just these type of movements of your neck can help release some of that tension. Now let's go to our shoulders, rolling our shoulders forward, continuing to breathe and roll those shoulders back. So it feels like a massage you give yourself. Roll forward and back. Now let's do a big shoulder circle. We bring our hands up, palms up, and push them down in front of us. I like to inhale as I come up and exhale as I push those hands down. Now to our spine. I'm going to take this sweatshirt off. The yin yang that's on the front of our shirt, if you're watching yourself doing this in the video or in a mirror, when you hold your ball, you see how that is? So like the hand and your hands are on top and bottom of that circle of your yin yang. That gives it a nice visual. So let's separate the heavens and earth. The hand that's on top pushes down towards the ground. The other hand comes and pushes up. So we're stretching that spine, keeping that soft bend in our elbows. Come back to center and switch. I've been hearing a lot about ragweed really giving people a fit lately. So I wonder if that's what's making you sneeze.
Probably.
Is it raining in Hazelhurst?
Has been.
It's raining at Camilla. It's raining at Camilla.
It must be raining all over Georgia today, huh?
Think so.
This is the kind of weather, it's just napping weather, isn't it, y'all?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get our Tai Chi done, then we'll just go take us a nap. You think my boss will mind? Stretching that spine. So it's not so much that you're reaching up and pushing down, but you're stretching your spine. So hopefully you're able to connect with those muscles as you do this movement. And I think there's a learning curve to it, where you stretch that spine and not so much as reaching up with your arms.
It hurt.
Don't make it hurt. Now let's go side to side. So we're going just above that knee, switching our hands and coming back across. This is that same movement that when we do waving hands in clouds, it's a torso movement. Our hands change at the end and come back across, just along for the ride of our bodies moving. So it's a body movement, not an arm movement. Now for our hips, we're going to shift our weight to one leg, place one heel forward and our hands back, pause in the middle, and toe back, hands forward. Make sure you're not holding your breath, this gets challenging, so it's easy to forget to breathe because you're focusing on not losing balance. Come back to center, shift the weight, heel forward, hands back, pause, and toe back, hands forward. I like to check in and make sure I'm not holding any tension in my shoulders, making sure I'm not leaning with a weight shift. It's just a good practice to check in with your body. Now let's shift from side to side. We stack our hands, shift and move those hands in the direction of the weight shift, tap out, back, switch, come back across, tap, switch, shift.
I have awfulest time doing both things at one time.
Well, you know, if that is a problem, get used to that leg movement where you shift the weight. You know, maybe you make loose fists and have them by your hips. Maybe you hold on to a chair, but shift the weight and tap it out and get used to that leg movement. And don't worry so much about the hands, because the hands aren't really what's important. It's the weight shift that's important.
It's the feet that really count. You don't want to fall.
Yes. Well, then maybe that's a good time to check your, to use your chair. And that way you don't have to worry about falling because your weight is on your chair.
I'm trying to do it so I'll get, I won't have to have that. Right.
Or have your chair in front of you and just know that it's there, and that gives you a sense of comfort.
Yeah.
You're not using it, and then you can keep your hands low instead of lifting your hands a little higher and going here. Maybe keep them low by your hips, and as you shift the weight, just shift it low. And then it feels like you're pulling or bringing that weight over to that leg, bringing that weight over. Another option is if you'll keep those hands lower, or even if they're up higher, but don't tap out, just shift the weight. So you're shifting, all the weight's there, but you're just not lifting and tapping that foot out. Then come back to the other side. So try that, and then your weight is shifting, so you're getting the experience of the weight shift, but then maybe it's that part where you lift that foot up and tap out. That's the part that's terrifying you. So that's another option with this movement too, is weight shift. Bring your hands along with the weight shift, but skip the tap out part. So there's just some options to play around with and see what works best for you. And the important thing that is that weight shift is happening, whether you're holding on to a chair, whether you're skipping the arm movements, whether you're making the arm movements low, whether you're skipping the tap out part, but the fact that the weight shift is happening and going side to side, that is number one, the most important. The other stuff is extra. It's extra to make it Tai Chi. It's extra to really test that balance. But first and foremost, the weight shift. So don't ever be too hard on yourself about not being able to do a full movement. Do what you can. Visualize that you're doing all of it. And so that's a start. Our brains are powerful. And so visualizing it can actually make it happen. All right, so that is for our hips. Now for our knees, we have our loose fists down here by our hips, no tension in our shoulders. We're going to shift the weight, lift, tap, and punch. And the same rules apply to this movement that I was just telling you about. Skipping the arm movement, holding on to a chair, and doing the weight shift. Even if you just lift that foot up, you don't tap it out. Do what you can do, visualize the rest. So it says it's for our knees, but really it's full body now. I mean, it's for our hips and knees, ankles, all of our lower joints are involved in this movement. Now we're going to step out to the side. or step out front. I'm going to turn to the side and show you that it's a small step. I'm keeping the back foot flat on the floor as I shift weight to the front foot. I'm still have weight on the back foot, but I'm shifting a little front, come back, side by side. Shift, step, shift and punch, bring it back, side by side. Shift. Nice fluid movement of a front and back shift, and then a side to side shift. So you're getting the full motion of your hips, all those muscles that help support our balance. Really good movement here. Next is for our ankles. We shift the weight and then rock that foot heel toe. Bring it back, shift the weight, heel toe. Improving the flexibility of that ankle joint. Relieving of any tension or stiffness that you may carry there.
My stiffness all
your stiffness is everywhere.
yes.
That's what these the ones that we warm up with, these are good exercises to help relieve tension that are in your major joints. Now, if you have a lot of stiffness in your hands, we don't have a warm-up stretch in Tai Chi for our hands. However, in the Arthritis Foundation, People with Arthritis Can Exercise program, there are a couple of where we do open and close, simple as that, open and close. Also, we have one where we take each of our fingers and touch to our thumb, touch and open, touch and open, touch. So each finger one at a time. There's another one that I can't remember what it's called, but it's like this, like you're a cat, you know, like a tiger, and you're attacking.
Like a claw.
Claws, yeah, like grrr. Yeah. And that's why I don't know what it's called, because when we do that exercise, we go grrr. But that's one that's for our hand and finger joints. Another is to have a loose fist and then come up to where your fingers are folded, and then up, and then spread those fingers. Closed, bend, loose fist, and then you go back through here. But simply doing a wide hand, you really feel that nice stretch in your fingers, and then closing them, that's helpful. Your wrists are obviously connected to your hands, and so one way to help stretch our wrist is to come out front with our fingers together, our hands together. Really the back of our hands, make sure they stay together as you pull those hands straight back, and only go as far as you're comfortable to where you feel a stretch in your wrist right here. If you feel your hands start to separate because you can't stretch, then don't go that far. Only go as far as you can and still keep those hands together like that. So it's just straight back. And so you should feel a nice stretch in your wrist whenever you stretch or pull those hands back. You feel that nice stretch? Another is if you were to sit in a chair You can do it in the air, but sometimes it's nice to sit in a chair that has arms and just rest your arms on the chair and let those hands kind of lay loose, and then bring them back towards you, and then lay them loose, go down, up and down. And so that's stretching your wrist as well. So maybe if you have stiffness in your hands, you can use some of those exercises. I'm just reminded of this one where we kind of play the air piano, like wiggling our fingers across a fake piano. So that can help loosen up our finger joints too.
Okay.
So that's not Tai Chi, but it is helpful to work our hands and our wrist.
That's what we need.
Have stiffness. Huh?
That's what we need. That's good.
Yes, people with arthritis, it stands for, it's PACE. People with arthritis can exercise. PACE. I really like that exercise program, and I don't know whatever happened to it. I used to teach it years ago, and it's interesting to me how several of the movements we do in Tai Chi are movements that we do from that program, but it skips some body parts. And hands and wrists are one of them. So feel free to ask questions to me outside of Tai Chi class, and I'll do what I can to help you or get information. I'm always happy to help, and I've been doing this for 22 years as of October 1st. So I have had my share of programs.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. So the one thing about my job is that we do different things, and we grab on and keep and then let go and but Tai Chi is something that has stayed around. This is my 11th year teaching Tai Chi. So some things have went by the wayside. Tai Chi seems to stick around because of so many benefits, even outside of arthritis and outside of falls prevention. My personal reason for loving Tai Chi is the reduction of stress, because you can finally just slow down and breathe, because normal life doesn't allow you to slow down and breathe. Normal life makes you be in a hurry. And so that's my personal reason why I love Tai Chi. And it doesn't matter if you take it for the improvements of balance, you're going to get the reduction of stress and anxiety. You're going to get the increase of flexibility, the increase of body awareness. You're going to get all the benefits, even if you're only taking it for one reason. So that's kind of, that's cool about the program.
Yeah.
So let's go through, or do you have any questions about our warm-ups? Sorry, this was bothering me that the shirt wasn't folded up. It looks sloppy on there. Do y'all have any questions about the warm-ups, or you feel good about those?
I don't.
I don't have any questions, but I like the way you interjected the other additional information to share with us, because we're old and we can use all the information that you share, all the action that you share with us.
Gotcha. Well, it's my pleasure to share those things, and I didn't come up with those. That came from the Arthritis Foundation's exercise program, and I've always liked that program. All right, so let's jump into our basic 6 movements. Now, remember, our basic 6 movements can be done seated, can be done holding onto a chair, or at least some with some chair assistance. Seated would probably be the better choice than holding onto a chair, because you can move more. especially obviously the hand movements. So if you need to have something nearby, just in case you need to grab onto for the sake of balance, you know, I have this table here, even my wall, you know, this wall's not going anywhere. So if I can, you know, rely on that wall, even if I don't have a chair. I have moved my chair out of this room and I keep forgetting to bring it back. So we always start with our upright posture, making sure our feet are shoulder width apart and we're nice, stable stance. And so that's how we want to be in our Tai Chi class, but that's how we want to hold our bodies in real life, no matter where we are. Having that good posture, you know, if our shoulders are back, there's room for all of our organs to function. We're not holding any tension in our shoulders because tension can cause pain. And then because we're holding our feet out a little wider at a wider base and our weight is on both feet, we're in a more stable stance. So we're less likely to fall. Even if somebody bumps into us, this stance right here is easier to stay upright than if my feet were together or if I had just weight on one foot and I was just kind of willy-nilly, you know, just stacking this one to the side. So a nice stable stance no matter what is what, you know, it's called a stable stance. Why? Because it's going to help us be stable and not fall. And our goal is to breathe throughout, to check in and make sure you're not holding your breath. So starting with commencement, the movement is our hands come up, nothing's happening with our feet. When our hands come down is when we shift our weight to our right foot. Then we step left, and when we step, it steps empty, which means no weight goes there. Then bring our hands in and up. Shift left as those hands go out, bring the right foot forward, and then pull our hands back. So it may not be clear on what's happening with our hands. I'm going to turn to the side. So we start with our hands to the side. When we bring our hands up, they're out and away from us. Not straight armed, still a nice soft bend, but away from our bodies. Then we come down. Now we pull in towards our hips and back up. And that motion right there, I think of like an elevator. Then we bring them out and then pull them back in. Some people think it's helpful to think of that as drawing a U when we come up. Now let's draw a U where we come down, draw the U, and come up, and then we go out and back in. So that second part of that movement, it's like a U. When I teach it a little more squared off. They're both right. But there's a square bottom U and out and in. So that's what it looks like from the side. It may be difficult to see that my hands are out whenever I bring them up and down, pull them into my waist, come up, out, and then back in. It may be a little more difficult to see when I'm face on. So I wanted to show you what it looked like from the side as I come up and down, in, up, out, and back in. So that's the hand movement of commencement. The footwork is shift to my right, step empty, no weight just yet, with our left, shift left, bring that right foot forward. So that's the footwork of commencement. Putting them together, our hands come up, nothing's happening with our feet. They come down, shift right, step left, finish that U. As our hands go out is when we shift to that left foot, bring the right foot forward, and our hands come back for open and close.
I have two left feet, Jennifer.
You got two left feet? That's okay.
I catch up with it though. Okay.
to break it down is helpful. So to do just like I was doing a while ago, where we just did the hand movement, to really get a feel for what the hand movement is, and then with our feet to get the footwork, shift, step, shift, forward step. So breaking it down like that to upper body and lower body. But then when you go to put them together, don't try to do it all at one time. Just do 2 parts at a time. So we come up, nothing's happening with our feet, but when our hands come down, that's when we shift to that right foot. So you feel
Is it out front when you shift? It's out front or on the side? It's out front when we do that shift. Is
that
it out
first
front?
shift.
Is it out front of us or on the side?
Our feet are side by side, so they're not. We haven't stepped out yet. That very first weight shift to the right foot when our hands come down is to the right. Okay, so we bring up, nothing's happening with our feet. When we come down, that's when we shift right. So just feel that one weight shift. So the hands come down and the weight shift goes to that right foot. So just do those 2 parts. And then in a minute, your leg will get tired.
Yeah.
Just to feel you put 2 things together. Just that first move together. Once my weight is shifted to that right foot, we're going to step left. So my hands are here. I step left. But now no weight is happening on that left foot. As soon as I step it, that's called an empty step. So my foot is out there, but all my weight is on that right foot. So I'm going to bring my hands in and up. So that portion, we've shifted the weight and we've empty stepped. Whoops, sorry. We come in, up. So that together, we came up, down, shift right. Empty step left, bring the hands in and up. Commence up, down, shift right, empty step left, hands come in and up, shift left as we take our hands out. You see how that went together? That was like the perfect match. The weight shift forward to that front leg, to that left foot, and the hands going out. That just kind of made sense to me. Forward weight shift. Now bring the right foot forward. Hands come back. So even if you write this stuff down, then you can put it on a paper on the wall in front of you, and you can follow what the paper says. So if you think, you write down these words: upright posture, weight on both feet. Both hands come up and out, if you want to write that. Both hands come up and out. Both hands come down, shift weight to right foot, or shift right. You know, you don't have to write shift weight to right foot. You can say hands up, down, shift right. So you can write those things out, have it on a paper in front of you, look at the paper, and it says hands come up. Okay, hands come up. All right, my paper says hands down, shift right. Okay, hands down, shift right.
When you say shift right on that
on that leg, that
Mhm.
right side, then your left go up. You step up, right?
Right, that's the next step.
Okay.
Every single time we shift weight, it's to move the other foot. So if we shift right, it's because we're going to move that left foot.
Okay.
If we shift left, it's because we're going to move that right foot.
Okay.
All the way through the Tai Chi series of movements, we shift weight to a leg to move the other one, because we cannot move a foot without taking the weight off of it. I mean, you can try.
No.
My weight is on my right foot. I cannot move it until I get all the weight off of it. So I have to give the left all my weight.
Okay.
Now, thankfully, we only have 2 legs. Imagine if we're taking Tai Chi and we're an octopus and we have to figure out which leg to shift it to. But see, we don't have those problems because we only have 2 feet, 2 legs. When we shift right, it's so that we can move our left one. When we shift left, it's so we can move our right one.
Right.
So just remember that when I shift the weight, that triggers that other foot to do something.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do something.
But Jennifer, seem like you standing in one spot, but I have to move around.
Yeah, I'm moving.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
moving. It may not look like I'm moving much because I'm not moving much. In Tai Chi, we take small steps. So I'm going to shift. Well, no, I got to shift right and step left. But see, that's a small step. I'm not stepping way out here.
Okay.
Because of that, because that's not very stable. So I'm going from side by side, really small step forward, and I'm in a staggered stance right now.
Okay.
Shift the weight and then here. So I never move my feet too far away from each other.
Okay.
Because once I start moving them too far away, then I'm no longer stable.
Okay. Okay.
Our goal is to have our bodies in a way that if somebody bumped into us, we're not going to immediately fall over. If I'm in a nice staggered stance right here, somebody bumps into me, I can bend my knee and absorb that impact.
Okay.
I can bend and absorb the impact. If I were too far back, then my knees can't absorb impact. I'll fall. If I'm too close together and somebody bumps into me, I don't have anywhere to bend into because my feet are too close together. So I keep a stable stance by spreading out my legs about hip or shoulder width apart. That's a nice stable stance with my feet beside each other.
Okay.
Or a foot a little bit further ahead, whether it be your right foot or whether it be your left foot, just a little bit ahead. That's a staggered stance. Now, when we start doing our waving hands and clouds, then we start stepping to the side. We're going to step just a little further than hip width, so that when we follow step, we're at hip width. So we're not stepping too terribly big, but it is a little bit wider. It's still in a stable stance though, when we go to do our waving hands and clouds. But yes, I'm stepping forward. It's just a really small step. Step, shift, and then bring the right foot up. Tiny little step.
Okay.
So that's our commencement movement. When we do open and close, we don't have anything happening with our legs. Our legs are just holding our weight. Our hands are facing each other. And when we take a deep breath, our hands open, and when we exhale, our hands close. So just breathe and experience open and close. So I did not physically move my hands like that. My breath moved my hands. And the way it did that is when my lungs filled with air, it took up space. So that space made my arms move out of the way. So I inhale, exhale. See, it pushed my hands open, and exhale, pushed my hands closed. And that's called open and close. Now you can just put your hands out there and breathe, and it will open, and exhale, they'll close. Or you can add in our what we call gentle resistance and have a little more movement control and almost pretend that you're playing the accordion. So yes, you inhale, but you pull those hands open like you're pulling an accordion, and then you exhale and you push those hands in like it's an accordion. Or you can think of pulling taffy. So you pull the taffy and you push the taffy. And so that's how you can make that movement more, by adding gentle resistance. And you can do that. It's not the same as like playing an accordion. That right there is kind of the hand motion of an accordion. But you can do gentle resistance in all the movements. So do, commencement. If you pretend the air is heavy and you're just pushing against that heavy air, then you can add gentle resistance. So commencement, hands come up. Oh, that air is heavy. And they come down. Oh, that air is heavy. Step. Oh, we're still moving through that heavy air. Oh, open and close. So you felt yourself engaging muscle that you don't really have to use moving against gravity. Gravity, of course, is a force. That's why we're on the ground and not out floating around. That's why we weigh something when we step on a scale. So gravity is a force. But if gravity was more of a force, then we would have that more resistance as we try to move through move our bodies through the air. So we create gentle resistance by kind of pretending and engaging that muscle. And so anytime we're engaging muscle, then that's how we make it stronger. Even if it's fake, that gentle resistance is almost fake. We're pretending that we're moving through heavy air, but we're using that muscle as we do it. Our minds are so smart in what they can do. So even in that first movement, you can do it several different ways, focusing on your principles. So you can just think smooth and continuous of a movement. Sorry, I shifted weight to the wrong foot. I'm not even thinking about gentle resistance. I'm thinking about smooth and continuous. Well, and slow. We want to think slow too. So slow and smooth. So let's think about those two words as we do commencement. Slow and smooth. So nothing about this movement is sharp, nice, and smooth. Open and close. That just feels good to move slowly and smoothly. So nothing harsh or sharp about the way I'm moving my body. And because we are working against gravity, we are using those muscles. We do make those muscles stronger by using them. So we don't have to add gentle resistance. So we can do commencement and open and close over and over and over, and just see just how slow and smooth you can make that movement. Open, close. So you don't even have to move on. Staying within these first two movements and working on the principles gives you a different experience. So don't think it's always about memorizing all the steps, because yes, we have single whip where we coming after open and close. We have single whip. That's in our basic 6. We have waving hands and clouds where we do those 4 words of step and switch, turn and shift. But don't let all those steps overwhelm you. Stick in the first 2. Practice principle. Hey, this time I'm going to think about my posture. Am I standing upright? Am I holding tension in my shoulders? So let's do that movement, really thinking about our posture and how we're holding our bodies. Okay, commence. Even if our movements are a little choppy and not so smooth, we're focusing on our posture. Just in those first 2 movements, I focused on posture. Oh yeah, I was really having that good posture. I didn't feel any tension in my shoulders. Yeah, that's nice. Then you can say, this time I'm really going to think about that weight transfer. So, I said about shifting the weight to one leg to move the other. Now, something I experienced yesterday in our warm-ups was that I shifted the weight to my left leg or my right leg to be able to do that heel, pause, and toe back. And the way I shifted my weight caused a little pain in my knee. So I regrouped. I did on the other side. And then when I came back to this knee, I was very conscious of the weight transfer, very conscious of my posture, so that the weight was over top of my knee and not in any way to the either side. And so that helped support that joint, and I didn't have the pain because the weight was right over top of it, not coming in at an angle or off center. So practicing weight transfer is another possibility where I shift the weight, making sure that it is a nice weight shift that supports that joint. Hopefully that makes sense. In all the ways that you can practice just the first 2 movements. And don't think you're not doing anything, because you are. Just because you're following principles, and you're going to get the benefits whenever you follow principle. But let's cool down by giving ourselves a nice fist massage. Our lesson, went down a different route today, and I think it's great because it's a different way of teaching those same movements. It's a different way of thinking about those same movements. And it gives you permission to not have to do all of it. Because sometimes we think, oh, I have to do all of it or it doesn't count. And that's not true in Tai Chi. You can sit and think about it. You can sit and watch it, and it's practice. You can sit in your chair and do the arm movement, seated, pushing your feet into the floor, and that's practice.
Okay.
All right, big circle. Oh, wait, no. Let's tense, bring tension, gather it, and release it. gather tension. We don't want to live with tension, y'all. And release it. Tense and release. Now our big circle up and push down. A good time to practice breath where we inhale up and exhale down. Now we take our right hand, we make a fist. This represents our strength. Our left fingers together represents our friendship. Our thumb in represents our humility. And we put those together in mutual respect. We say namaste.
Namaste.
So thank y'all very much. Thank you for allowing me to talk about the movements in a different way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if I can do anything for you in between now and next Tuesday, let me know. And if not, I will see you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right.
Have a good
Love y'all.
weekend.
All
Love
right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.